time for Nerdgasm.
Hey, what's up guys? Jerry here, aka Barnacules, and today we're going to be reviewing the latest quadcopter slash drone from DJI, and that is the Mavic Pro. Now, what makes this thing so special is it's like a scaled down Phantom 4. It has all of the capabilities of the really big quadcopters, but in a small collapsible package that can travel with you. Now, I asked DJI to send this over, and it was nice of them to send it to me, but they didn't send me any extra batteries. So today, I had to go to the DJI store and use my own YouTube money to buy 2 more batteries, because you can't review a drone with 1 battery. Come on, are you kidding me? And I picked up a couple extra sets of blades. Look how tiny these little boxes are. Like, that's how big the blades are on this thing. It's just, it's mind-blowing. But now it looks like we have what we need to review this thing. So as soon as I unbox it here, we're heading over to Dirtfish to do the actual test, because that's 300 acres of area that we can fly this thing around
without the FAA shooting them down.
Now, looking at the box, you can see how small this thing is. I mean, just look at my hand on it compared to like a Phantom 4. It's wildly small. So I'm really excited to get out of the box and take a look. Oh man, it's got some tape on it. Actually, this is a really nice packaging job. You know what's funny? The first thing I noticed, picking up the little remote control doohickey here, is doesn't that look like a gaming system? It's like a little scaled down version of like a Sega, whatever the hell, Game Gear. Yeah, Game Gear. Well, if the controller is any indication, this is very compact, because look how small this thing is. It's like a cell phone, but like 3 times the thickness. I love the way the thumbsticks feel, though. Man, they nailed that. And it has a screen, so for once, you're not just relying on your cell phone, which is what I didn't like about all the other drones. All right, so this is the drone, and this is mind-blowingly small. Guys, look at this in my hand. There it is, with the props and everything. It's already got the props on it, guys. With the props and everything, that fits in my hand. That's crazy small. Wow. It's got a little bit of heft to it, though. It's definitely heavier than it looks. All right, looks like we have, let's see, we got a power cable, a USB cable. Does this thing charge from USB? I don't know, we'll find out. All right, it looks like we have some little cables here. You can definitely tell that DJI is learning from Apple. Like the way their packaging is, the way they're like little, even bags that contain little components. It feels very Apple-esque. All right, hold on, we got a little booklet here. Looks like we have a Mavic Pro manual, which I'll read tonight before we head out to Dirtfish. And we have the all too familiar charging brick, which actually has 2 USB outs on the back of it, and the proprietary connector for the Mavic battery. All right, so here we have the Mavic. I haven't read any of the directions, but I'm guessing you just fold the arms out. Okay, well that seemed pretty simple. Just like, oh, those fold out underneath. Okay, so that's it. That's the drone right there. Although we're missing 2 blades. Wow, that's it. You just push them down on the little spring-loaded mechanism and twist them a half turn, and they're on. So there we go. So it looks like all the blades can be on while it's folding up. You do have to unfold it in a certain order. The top ones first, and then the bottom ones. Otherwise, they get hung up on each other. And actually, guys, this thing feels like it's built incredibly well. Now, on the front here, take off the lens protector, and you can see, look how tiny this little camera is, and it's got a full gimbal on it, and it's supposed to be every bit as good as like a GoPro or the DJI cameras they use like on the Phantom 4, but it's all scaled down in size, and it's in a protective bubble. Now, it looks like the protective bubble can be removed so that you can take off the gimbal protector. It does have a gimbal protector on it, just like the Phantom 4 and all the Phantoms before it, but I like that it has the dome to protect it. That's a nice touch. Now, the battery's not charged yet. We'll get them charged up overnight when we take them out and test them out. But this is the battery, guys. Which, actually, look at the size of the craft versus the size of the battery. That's pretty impressive. Actually, I really love the design, because if you've ever had a Phantom 3 or a Phantom 4, getting the battery in and out is a little bit of a pain in the ass. The frame tends to hold on to it. And this is nice. All right, unboxings are cool. But let's take this out and put it through the paces. All right, guys, well, the specs on this thing are pretty impressive. It weighs in at about 1.6 pounds, which is next to nothing. They claim that it has a 40-mile-an-hour speed with absolutely no wind in sport mode. And the battery claims to have 27 minutes of flight time or 24 minutes in hover, which honestly I'll have to see to believe. But with specs like that, how can you not love something like this if it stands up? But I've already run into a couple of snags that I don't like about the aircraft that I'm going to talk about right now, and that is the remote control and the way that the phone attaches to it. Yes, it looks very cool at first, and yes, it does come with an integrated lightning cable, and it comes with the Android cable also, and I believe the USB-C cable. But the problem is when you slide your phone in, it covers the home button. So every time you bump a button and turn your phone off, you have to basically yank it out and get it back where you want it and stuff it back in. That sucks. So I am gonna ding it for that, but otherwise the controller is absolutely amazing. And you can fly it without the phone, which is kind of like a good thing, because DJI, usually you have to use the phone, and if the app crashes, you're kind of screwed. So a lot of really cool features, a lot of thought definitely went into this device, but at the end of the day, all that matters is how well it flies. So guys, you can tell we picked about the windiest day we possibly could up here at Dirtfish to fly the smallest drone I think we've ever reviewed. Now, a lot of the reports that I've seen said that this thing does not handle wind very well, but we just went through the firmware update process, which, mind you, took a half an hour, and it never came back, and we had to reboot it, and it finally did sync up with the app. I hope you have a better experience than I did, but we didn't brick the device. It is still working, and hopefully the firmware issues have sorted out some of the flight problems people have been complaining about in the wind, because if this thing flies at all out here, I'll be surprised. Just like with any drone, you have to do a compass calibration before you fly the thing. We actually kind of got away with a test flight earlier not doing the compass calibration. It's a miracle that we didn't just like completely tank the thing into the ground. Always do a compass calibration. It gives you on-screen directions on how to do it. It's very easy. You just pick up the craft just like every other thing, walk around it. It'll tell you when you've walked far enough, and then you just flip it on its side and do it again. And we are now calibrated. Okay, the application is now telling me that the GPS is locked and we have a green light and we are ready for flight. So just like with any of the previous generations, just pull both sticks down at an angle.
Take off.
And it's got all kinds of verbal commands that are kind of nice too. All right, here we go. All right guys, the application notices an obstacle. I'm standing in front of it. Now it's holding its own hover in a wind. It's pretty windy. I think my camera guys here would agree it's pretty windy. I'm getting a nod, and almost so much I can't believe this lav mic's even working. Look at this thing. I'm not touching anything. It's holding that hover. Whoever said this thing doesn't work in the wind's an idiot or was running an old firmware. I'm betting an old firmware. That's what I'm going with. We're going with old firmware here. Surprisingly, it's not as loud as the Phantoms, but it still makes a decent amount of noise. Guys, keep in mind, it is very windy right now. I'm not touching the sticks. It's holding that hover on its own. And we're actually pretty surprised, because all the reviews have been saying that this thing really sucks in any wind, even light wind. And as you can see here, that doesn't seem to be the case. All right, let's take it up. All right, guys, we have a huge gust of wind coming through right here. You probably can't tell because of the gel in my hair, but we're gonna go ahead and fly this thing. I'm getting a really good, clear video signal. So far, it's handling the wind just fine. The trees are blowing in the background. I'm not in sport mode, so it's not making radically drastic movements. We're just like keeping it easy. I'm gonna go flip it around. This is working great. Here, let's bring it in, see if I can get my mug on here. I'm gonna start recording. All right, so the aircraft is twitching in the wind right now. And you guys, here I am in front of it. It can see the obstacle. You hear that noise? That means I'm an obstacle. So it's warning me. That is really cool. Wow, this thing is flying really well. Now you can notice the wind is definitely twitching it around, but it's holding itself. When I want to land it, I just hold down on the stick. It automatically decelerates. And when it gets to the point where it's safe to land, it takes over and does the landing for me. So I would highly recommend this to somebody who's new to drones. So honestly, after landing this thing and flying it in the wind, I would say it's much more like a mini Inspire 1 than it is like a Phantom. This thing is a dream to fly, even in the wind. Landing and takeoff is super simple, and as you could see, it was compensating for the wind very, very well. I'm actually pretty shocked. I think most of the problems people were talking about were firmware at this point. I'm still sticking with firmware. Up here, firmware is high on my list of reasons why people were bitching about this, because we know that DJI does have teething problems with firmware. They have with all of their releases, but they generally iron things out or produce another product and force you to buy it. All right, guys, so right now we've got this thing in a hover, and Phil's gonna go ahead and bang on it with a stick. Even hitting the blades and everything, it doesn't care. Yeah, try to, yeah, there, hit it. That is a lot of wind right now. Whack it. I like how you're hitting the blades and it just shrugs it off. I wouldn't feel comfortable flying a Phantom in this wind. Guys, a Phantom 4 or a Phantom 3, I would not be comfortable in this wind. That is outperforming it. Dude, this is awesome. You can see there's a red light on the back of it showing us that the battery's going dead. We also have an audio indicator that you can probably hear saying that it's down. So let's go ahead and land. I see that little gimbal working super hard too in there. Okay, we're going to just tell it to land. That's it. Look at this wind, man. This is like, here, hold on here. This is legit windy right now, guys. This is no joke. I would not fly anything short of an Inspire 1 today. Like we're just flying this because we're like, oh, the hell, we're just reviewing it, right? If we break it, whatever, but I'm impressed. I really am. All right, so we got a little inception going on here. This is the camera right now. We have it in 4K 30 mode. It's live broadcasting right now. Say hi, Adam. Say hi, Phil. Poke your head out. There we go. Before we change out the battery, I just wanted to show you some of the stuff on the controller. You can see we have a low battery warning. We also have indicators of speed, our height, our battery. Everything's on here that we need that's critical for flying. And then down here, you're just using the phone for all the video stuff. And I can tell you right now, the lag on the video, even in the current mode that I'm using right now, is probably about a quarter second, which honestly isn't too bad, all things considering. And the gimbal on this thing is actually really good. Like here, I'm just gonna rock this thing back and forth like crazy. But so far, this thing's a boss in the wind. I like the controls. This is actually becoming my favorite drone, and I've flown it through one battery. So unless something goes horribly wrong in the next couple of minutes of this video, this thing's getting high praise. Now, another thing I really like about the aircraft is the battery. If you guys have ever owned a Phantom or any other Phantom clone aircraft, the battery tends to get really hard to remove from the aircraft because it'll swell a little bit as it heats up. It's a pain in the ass. I don't particularly like it, but this battery design, you just hold the two little clamps on the side and it pops right off the top. Then you just pop a new one right into it. And it doesn't seem to change at all when you fly the aircraft, which I am particularly happy about. I also like that the battery's in the middle for weight distribution purposes. And if you do have the unfortunate occasional wreck, the battery isn't the thing that's gonna get hit hardest and get punctured. And if you guys have ever seen a lithium polymer battery explode, it's not pretty. All right, let's put it in tripod mode because it's way too jerky right now. All right, we are now in tripod mode. You guys ready? Now I've got fine granular movement. And we're through! Woo! Woo! Guys, this is awesome. This is cool. This is definitely my favorite drone I've tested to date, period. Dude, I love that. I absolutely love that. This thing kicks ass. Anybody can fly this thing, anybody. So the problem with the Phantom is if you want to take it with you, you need a giant like Nana case to hold the controller, this, and all of the batteries. But if you want to take the Mavic Pro with you, you just stick it in your pockets. So I'm actually shocked, guys, at just how good this product is. And I'll tell you why. Because DJI makes some cool stuff, but I'm not going to say that they don't have a rough beginning. When the Phantom first came out, it had a lot of problems. All of the generations, all the way even up to my Phantom 3 here, there were problems that they resolved over time and the software got better. This is a brand new product out from DJI, and I have to say the software is the best I've seen. It didn't crash once. All the features that we tried today worked as expected, but what surprised me the most was that we flew it in wind and rain, the two things that everybody is complaining that this is terrible at. And this actually flew better than the Phantom 3 did, which still kind of blows my mind. I don't understand how that's possible. The one thing that I am gonna pick it apart for though is this. The controller is amazing, but the holder for the cell phone is crap. My iPhone, it covers the home button, and it's gonna cover the home button on most phones because let's be honest, most of the phones copy the iPhone design. And that home button, you constantly lock the phone and then you have to pull it out to unlock it. And it's very fidgety to play with the little cable and the little plastic guide on the back of the thing. It's a nightmare. But once you look past that, the rest of the controller is solid. The signal on this, where we were flying it, we never lost video signal or had a hiccup at all, and it was amazing to control. So all I can think about is the firmware must have been greatly improved, because the very first thing we did to start off today was update the firmware, which actually didn't go according to plan. We basically waited 45 minutes, finally rebooted the device, and realized it had the firmware on it the whole time. The app just never told us. But once we did that, everything worked perfectly. The build quality, amazing. We crashed it into stuff, it recovered instantly. It's super stable, the functionality works. It's just that one little problem with the controller is the only complaint I have with this. I would highly recommend this drone to anybody, and I will tell you right now, this is my new favorite, okay? See my Phantom 3 here? It's gone. From now on, it's gonna be this guy. It's DJI Mavic Pro. The thing is absolutely badass. If you've been having problems with these, or you're one of the people bitching in the forum about it not handling in wind, you really need the latest firmware update, because we literally put this thing through the paces. We tried to run it into stuff. We actually fully expected to destroy this thing today. And as you can see, other than a little bit of damage on one of the blades from the countless wrecks that we had indoors, the thing still flies perfectly. So I am recommending this to everybody, from the most advanced person down to a beginner. This is the drone to get, I'm telling you guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you guys would like to pick one of these up yourself, I have a link down in the video description. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down in the comments or come over and follow me on Twitter. I am at Barnacules. But guys, it's rare for a product to come out where it's just this good. This is awesome. It's awesome.